Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Thursday, July 11th, 2024 meeting of the Ann Arbor Historic District Commission. The meeting is being held in person and electronically via Zoom. We intend to conduct this hybrid meeting similarly to an in-person meeting. However, please be patient if there are technical issues. Members of the public who would like to comment on hearings or other matters may do so in person or virtually. To speak during any of the public comment opportunities, please call 206-337-9723 or toll-free 877-853-5247. Enter meeting ID 965-3669-9762. This information is also available on the published agenda, in the public notices section of the city website, and on the broadcast of this meeting on CTN. CTN can be found on Xfinity Channel 16, AT&T Channel 99, streaming online on YouTube, or at a2gov.org/watchctn. Mariana, will you please call the roll?
One second, please.
Yeah, no problem.
You want me to get it?
Yeah, if you could.
Sure. Chair Racklin?
Here.
Commissioner Fortner? Absent. Commissioner Calderon?
Here.
Commissioner Smith?
Present.
Commissioner Kaplan?
Present.
Commissioner Ross? Absent. We have 4 members present. That is a quorum. It will require 3 affirmative votes to approve a petition.
Thank you very much. Before we move forward, we have a new planner that's helping us here, and why don't you introduce yourself, please?
Thank you so much. My name is Julia Shake. Been working with the city now for about 3 months. Did my PhD actually at U of M 8 or so years ago, and was like living and working, teaching urban planning, working with sustainability and urban issues in Brazil for the last 8 years. So it's been a great return to Ann Arbor.
Thank you for that introduction. It's really great to have you here, so thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, now we will move on to approving the agenda. Are there any changes to tonight's agenda? Okay, seeing none without objection, the agenda is approved as presented. So now we'll move on to public comment. This is an opportunity for persons to speak for up to 3 minutes about an issue that is not listed as a public hearing on this agenda. To comment on such other preservation matters, please approach the podium or join the meeting using the information displayed on the agenda and the video feed. So I don't see anyone approaching the podium here. Do we have anyone? Hit *9 on your phone if you'd like to raise your hand. Anyone this evening?
There are no virtual attendees with hands raised at this time.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. In that case, I will close the public comment portion of the meeting, and we'll move on to E, unfinished business. And we do have unfinished business from last month. It's E1 903 West Huron. Mariana, would you please give the staff report for the hearing?
Yes. So this is 903 West Huron. It did come before the commission last month to talk about the front porch and the back new door. As a reminder, this was the front porch that you see right here was issued a certificate of appropriateness last month, so we won't be discussing that. We're just going to be looking at the back. As a reminder, the HDC asked the applicant last month for a plan showing the new stoop, ramp, and stairs at the back door, including ramp dimensions, an elevation of the new stoop, ramp, and stairs, and a drawing for how the door will be finished. Here are some photos of the back of the house that we took at the review committee on Monday. This is the current door here. The ramp is temporary right here, and then the proposal is for a new concrete ramp with a railing right here, and it'll come and extend beyond the east side of the house. There is also this existing back porch here, and it is proposed to have a new safety rail as well. Here is the current door. There were no new details for how the door will be finished, so that is the current state. This is another view of the current existing porch that is also proposed to have the railing. Another view of that. And then here are the drawings that were submitted, so you can see simple railing on the existing porch, and then this will be the new ramp. So here's the door. Again, no details on how it will be finished, but we do have the elevation drawing and the plan, some stairs, a simple concrete stoop, and then a ramp that extends beyond the house. Here is the plan. You can see again the existing porch, the door that is here, small concrete landing, simple stairs, simple ramp, concrete ramp that is sloped, goes all the way down towards 7th Street. Existing driveway is not going to be repaved at this time, but there will be some new planting areas added on either side of the ramp. I'm not going to go through the staff report in detail that was presented last month. It is included as part of the agenda, and it was published with the packet. But as a reminder, here's the current door that was formerly a window. Another view from the interior. Another view from the interior. In terms of the Secretary of Interior standards, number 1, a property will be used as it was historically or will be given a new use that requires minimal change to its distinctive materials, features, spaces, and spatial relationships. 2, the historic character of a property will be retained and preserved. The removal of distinctive materials or alterations of features, spaces, and spatial relationships that characterize a property will be avoided. 5, distinctive materials, features, finishes, and construction techniques or examples of craftsmanship that characterize a property will be preserved. 9, new additions, exterior alterations, or related new construction shall not destroy historic materials that characterize the property. For the entrances and porches, it is recommended to design and install additional entrances or porches on secondary elevations when required for a new use in a manner that preserves the historic character of a building. It is not recommended to introduce a new entrance or porch that is incompatible in size, scale, material, and color, or to install secondary service entrances and porches that are incompatible in size and scale with the historic building. For building site, it is recommended to identify, retain, and preserve buildings and their features, as well as features of the site that are important in defining its overall historic character. And it is not recommended to remove or radically change buildings and their features or site features which are important in defining the overall historic character of the property. Similarly, for some of the Ann Arbor Historic District guidelines that I'll just highlight, residential doors, it's not appropriate to install a new door opening. It is appropriate to install a new porch and entrance on secondary elevations. It can be appropriate if it doesn't diminish the building's architectural character and the design and materials are compatible with the building and the site. There are some more that are included in the design guidelines that are in the staff report, but I won't go through them all. And that is the update. Those are the drawings that we have received, and the Historic District Commission can decide if the new back door, ramp, and stairs are appropriate for accessibility in the back of the house.
Okay, thank you for the report. We'll now go to the review committee report, and we have Commissioner Kaplan with the report.
Yes, so we spent some time here. We did not talk, if I'm blanking on something, correct me. We didn't spend a lot of time talking about the door because I believe the door was pre-existing. And so we did have a discussion about, the applicant found a house that had a lot of either lack of repairs or poor repairs. That's sort of what he got, and he's now trying to fix some of them. So we focused mainly on the proposals for the rails and the ramp. I brought up, and just so you know, I was just asking David as well, just thinking out loud when we were on site about the possibility of taking the ramp as you propose it and doubling it back about midway. So whatever the length is, if you split it in half and did a return, I don't know that it has a historic significance. It programmatically, I think, makes it better because the user, in this case, I believe your dad, it leaves him right back to where a car might be dropping him off or someone else might be coming out of the house. It brings everyone back to the same place where the door is. I don't know if they're on a walker or a wheelchair, but if they were on a wheelchair, a long straight ramp that shoots into 7th Street may pose a safety hazard if there's nothing to slow them down. And I always thought the switchbacks kind of just inadvertently provided a safety mechanism for that. Other than that, we saw the railings and the porch and bringing back some sort of safety feature to something that wasn't there when you found it were good. And also the fact that all of this is exterior to the house and reversible was something that we did mention that Catherine brought up.
Did you stand at the sidewalk and get a feel? We're going to get to you in a sec, actually. Yeah, just like really quickly, but yeah, just one. We'll get right there. Did the so from I'd like to know more about like standing at the site. What does it kind of feel like?
Yeah,
and that kind of thing.
So the one thing I see advantages to my suggestion for the user and for the owner, but from a selfish historic district person, I like the fact that that switch also would bring the footprint of this to within the basic footprint of the house, because as drawn, there's a significant piece that sort of comes out into the yard. So it's not an addition to a house. So if it were, we'd be worried about how it's visible from Huron Street. You could see it from the front of the house. And you still would because it's a railing, but as a railing, I don't know that we're applying those same guidelines. But all of those problems are solved if it switches back.
Okay, let's do this. Thank you. Would the applicant please approach the podium, provide your name and address for the record. You have up to 5 minutes to speak, and please let us know any comments.
Okay, so my name is Bart Fisher, Bartholomew Fisher. I live at 209 Pleasant Place. So a few things that weren't in the drawing that were not submitted that I think are important, that are part of the plan. Number one, you'll notice on the back of the building, the last addition that I would deem historic has a brick foundation. The parts that I will deem in my own mind, and due to the research I've done, non-historic have a cement block foundation, and there is enough overhang, and in the plan it's to be a brick veneered, and then we'll dry ice blast it to make it appear old, as with the entire ramp. So the sides of the ramp, no matter how we would construct it, we'd try to make it look age appropriate. To kind of answer Mr. Kaplan's comments, there are two drawings that were submitted. One is without a railing, and it brings up a raised planting bed along the entire length of the ramp, kind of would raise up the yard to kind of make it blend. That was kind of what we were thinking originally, and more out of trying to diminish its impact on the site more than anything. As far as safety, it would be a very minor slope, but we would be very happy to build it with a cutback, no problem whatsoever. We just thought that would be more look like a handicap ramp, and that's kind of the intent, is to not make it look like one. So we really wanted to blend it, and the railing down the entire one was just another option again if the board thought so. In any way, we would love comment. We want to do something that is appropriate for the house. To call it a new door, old door, I struggle with a lot. Just by chance, I ran into another friend of mine who's a contractor in town who's worked on the building. He saw the door that was there. Additionally, as to the comments regarding the trim, we've submitted photos of the old door with the exact same trim we still have. We intend to put up around this. The drawings show a depiction of that trim. The photos show the trim, the siding that was all there with the standard panel door that matched the birch slab door on the left. So the door was there. There's no doubt long before I bought the property. I know there are pictures of it not there. It was also there. So at what point that door became, or that window became a door, I don't even know what the laws were. It may have complied, it may not have. My mother sat on this board for quite some time, and I know they've changed dramatically. I did replace the door. the slab door. We still have the original slab door that was there. We'll do whatever you guys want. We want to work with you. We'll do it in any way. These were our ideas, and we're open to any suggestion.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll probably have you back up in a sec, but we're going to move on to the public hearing. Actually, before we do that, did anyone have any questions for Bart? Okay. I did have a question. You mentioned, can you come back up? Sorry. You mentioned there was a photo of, or like you had the trim, but I'm talking about the door now. You
Yes.
had the trim of the door but the trim's not there now?
We took the trim off when we replaced the door. We put a
Right.
new door frame in.
Okay,
But we have the original trim. It is not anything that is, significantly detailed. It is just standard.
it's standard trim?
Yes.
Okay, and so that, yeah, I guess I was expecting to see that on the elevation, so that's why it was brought up in the staff report, because there's material that's not there. I guess in your mind, you're like, I have it.
We also have the pictures of
It's
it
there,
on
yeah.
there, and yeah.
So that's just why that was brought up.
Yeah.
And so what are the materials of that, just so we know? Is it wood?
Well, some pieces that are really unique. So that transom window above the door, it is a very old piece, and it actually has in the very front of the building, there's no windows on the actual back of the home with the same design, but in the front of the building, all of those windows actually have a radiused corner in the actual double hung panes, and that transom window shares that same. I have a mill. I have all of Fingerly's old shaping tools. I have a unbelievable shop, and I really love woodworking. I could not replicate it, and I've done things that you wouldn't believe, but. That piece, it's very old lead paint. It's quite obvious that transom window has been there for some time.
So what are the materials of the trim? that
Oh,
you're
I'm
gonna
sorry.
put
It's
up there?
just it's basically 1x4 that has old lead paint on it that was all there. The piece right under the door is AZAC.
Yes.
When we pulled back that step, that was all rotted. So we pulled it back and we put a piece of AZAC there that then we just placed the step back. The step says 1957 on it, but we have pictures from all over the place, and I couldn't tell you what was done when. The trim everywhere else in the building is 1x4. Additionally, in the drawing, it shows removing that vent fan, which there's no motor in, there's no fan in, there's just stuffed insulation and newspaper in there. There's no electrical wire or anything. So that was another thing we would be proposing to kind of just correct some of the back of the building, because that fan is, I don't know, sort of a hideous little mess.
And what are you putting in its place?
Just matched siding that we had actually made, exactly the same siding that is on the building everywhere.
Okay, so the door trim is wood 1x4s?
Basically, yes. There's some, pieces that are ripped down between the
Sure.
upper transom window and the frame that is
pediment
actually the
thing.
same dimension. The wood that was making up that frame for that door is 50s-esque. It's not true old 2x4s like most of the house. There's plywood that I believe that at one point the two windows you see to the right in this current photo, behind that siding was all rotted. We pulled it back. There's actual regular plywood, so that has to be 50s-esque. You can see the block. That block extends all the way out, kind of to the bump out to the left of that door. You can see, though, traveling up, that's much older construction.
I
but
see
it still
block
has-
on both sides of the door, though. There's block where you have the old wood and block where you have the new wood. So I don't think we can just say that where there's block, it's old, and where there's block, where there's block, it's new,
100% agreed, but what
yeah.
I was trying to, I guess, point out is that, yes, the block is very age similar, but the wood is not, and I believe that those were added porches to the right that were later made bedrooms, and I believe that to the left of that door was a bump out that was done for a kitchen that probably did not have any foundation under it, because that's all very, very old, and there is a brick foundation behind that wall that matches the brick to the left. So we would be extending that brick veneer across all of that block, then dry ice blasting it all the way up across that addition back to the split stone that kind of blends up in the front behind those bushes.
Any of the changes that you make to the exterior, if you're removing materials or adding new materials, need to go through the staff, the city staff. If you can think that something is repair, then it's repair. You don't need, or repair, maintenance, those kind of things, there's no approval needed. But anytime you're going to remove material or add new material, it needs to go through city staff. So like what you just said about adding a brick to the exterior, I don't see that in the proposal.
That was in the written for the ramp and then to extend it onto the concrete block.
Okay. What are the materials of the handrail and the posts that you have in the drawing here?
So everything in there, I think that was in the write-up that was sent from Ed Weir.
Is that in the staff report?
I didn't get it.
Okay.
The back deck is a tongue and groove product, and we proposed a PVC product for that instead of the Doug fir that is actually there and rotted. We could do the Doug fir if that worked for the staff. Whatever, we just thought that would be a better product long-term, a light gray PVC product. And then for the railing, it would all be a rot-resistant cedar.
For the top rail?
For all parts of the railing.
Baluster,
The posts,
the top rail,
everything, all of the detail, yes.
The posts and the top rail, the bottom rail, and the balustrade is all
And it would be stained,
cedar.
not painted in a solid, stain.
So what was PVC then?
The actual deck boards that are currently,
Oh.
they're Doug fir, and we
I thought it was a concrete deck. Oh, the deck boards of the ramp.
The deck to the left, there's in the report, there's not the one with the ramp, that one.
Oh.
There is a concrete block on the parking lot side that there's a wood structure that rests on that. That gray is a concrete block that's painted, and it matches the other concrete, but it's the only one that's painted. It's made up of a wood structure. I think it's maybe 2x8 structure, but then on top of it is a tongue and grooved Doug fir that is just completely dilapidated. The framing's fine, but the proposal for the PVC would be that tongue and groove Doug fir replacement.
Okay.
And again, we would do Doug fir if the board would prefer, so.
We're here to respond to you, like, you propose to us what you want to do, and then we respond to it.
I appreciate that very much,
yeah.
but I'm also very open. I mean, you guys have some very creative minds, and,
The time to sort of figure all that out is like you working with the city, which you clearly did, and we appreciate it, but at the meeting here, it's very difficult to try to design things, because then we have like a moving target that we're trying to approve. We're fine making like little changes and stuff like that, but we're not the design board to say like, what material should I use here or something like that.
Understood.
Yeah. Okay, but I think that we've got, as far as I can tell, all the materials that I was questioning. Okay, let's take a break. We'll go to the staff report, and then we'll move on from there. Thank you, Bart. All right. So now we'll go to the public hearing. The public hearing is open for the application at 903 West Huron. Public comment may be made in person or by joining the meeting using the information displayed on the agenda and the video feed. So please hit *9 if you're wanting to speak. Julia, do we have anyone?
There are no virtual participants with hands raised at this time.
Very good, thank you. Okay, the public hearing portion of the application is now closed. All right, would a commissioner please make a motion on this application? Looks like Commissioner Smith is
Trying to figure out.
Yep, take your time.
I could also do it if that's.
If you're ready to go, Ben.
Sure.
All right, that's going to go.
I move that the commission issue a certificate of appropriateness for the application at 903 West Huron, a contributing property in the Old West Side Historic District, to replace a rear window with a door and add a new stoop, stairs, ramp for access. The proposed work is compatible in exterior design, arrangement, texture, material, and relationship to the rest of the building and the surrounding area, and meets the Secretary of Interior standards for rehabilitation and guidelines for rehabilitation of historic buildings. In particular, standards 2, 5, and 9, and the guidelines for accessibility and entries and porches, as well as the Ann Arbor Historic District design guidelines, particularly as they pertain to residential porches.
Second. Okay, that was moved by Commissioner Calderon and seconded by Commissioner Smith. So now we'll have some discussion on the motion, but before we do, I just want to set it up because we have to sort of live in two timeframes right now. Because really, we have to go back to whenever it was, this opening was a window. And the very first thing we have to do is think, is this window okay to become a door? Now, it already is a door. And that obviously, it's impossible to deny that it's a door. And if it really didn't make sense to be a door, we would have to deny this motion. And, but, so it doesn't matter who owned the house when that happened. That's not up for us we could discuss it. It's just not up, it shouldn't weigh in the vote. So I think that we were sort of wondering about should this window be a door last month, and it felt like, well, if we knew what the door was for, then maybe we would say, should it be a door? And I think that the applicant has provided these drawings here, so now we know, with certainty that the door, the window is changed to a door, and it's going to be used for, for egress with the ramp and stair. So, we have to keep that in mind somehow. But if, I guess, let's just stop there, and I want to know, does anyone feel like this, now that we know what we know, do we not, is anyone thinking, no, this should not be a door, we need to make this a window again? Is anyone feeling that? Okay, all right. So that's, we've gotten somewhere from last month, so that's good. Okay, and so the next discussion is obviously, well, what do you think about what was presented? It sounds like you've got a comment.
Oh, I was just going to say, if this was a window today, and someone came up and said, we want to go to the back of this house because now it's 4 apartments and we're trying to improve accessibility, egress, and in some cases, disability access, I think I would be okay with where it's put, and the idea of changing it from a window to a door wouldn't bother me. Okay, well said. Okay, so now we've got changes to, and Mariana, remind me again, the porch, the other porch that's just going to be the steps, is that a contributing porch, or is that, do you happen to know, is that after the period of significance, or?
I can't remember it right now. I can, sorry.
No, that's okay. I mean, looking at it, it's nothing like the front porch, at least. It's a secondary porch. It looks like modern construction. So I would say, putting the simple handrail that I'm seeing is appropriate there, and PVC decking would be fine, I feel like, on a porch like that. Does anyone have any comments on that porch? Okay, so that's that. Now we have we have the ramp, it's going to be cedar. I'm not sure what to do about approving this motion without having the materials in the, the materials aren't in the proposal. So we'll probably have to go back in a sec, I think, and add that in. But
Altering the CMU is also mentioned before too, and that's also on the application.
Okay.
I would also argue it's not necessary.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so say a little more about that, maybe.
I just think, we want to see differentiated time periods in
Yep.
the different editions. So,
Right.
the concrete block is, indicative of the time frame. So
Yeah.
there's no need to cover that up.
The concrete block is the sidewall of the ramp, is that right? Like when you look at the ramp, is that what you're saying?
No, he had talked.
Oh,
about-
the block
Yeah,
that we're
the
looking at there,
foundation.
okay.
Yeah.
I was confused about that, thank you, okay. All right, okay. All right, do you want to comment about the switchback at this
I
point?
mean, the only thing I would say, I have a strong feeling about it.
Yeah.
I'm struggling with whether my feeling about it is relevant in any way to this function.
No, it is if it is coming out
If this were
too
a
far and,
addition,
yeah.
if this was an addition of a.
It is an
room,
addition, no, it is an addition, you
Then-
should treat it as an addition. yeah.
Then what I would say is, the fact that you can see part of it trailing off the side of the house,
Yeah.
if you're looking at this house face on from the street,
Yeah.
this is the one thing that you see, and it's the thing we always talk about everywhere else, is like, make it so that when you're looking at the house face on, the additions in the back aren't visible, they're
Right.
stepped in.
Well, this is a corner house, so it's even
And it's even
trickier,
harder,
yeah.
right, but it could be, you could achieve that aesthetically so that it isn't visible from Huron Street, and I think it actually is win-win, because I think it helps the programming of the house.
Yeah.
I think aesthetically, having a double back works better.
Yeah.
It works better function, works better aesthetics.
Yeah,
I'm with Steve on that one. It's
Yeah.
like, again, just think that's a better approach. I'd like to know a little bit more about the skirting for the ramp and what those materials
Okay.
will be.
yeah. Okay, I would agree with both of you there. I mean, I was just saying that we're not a design board, but we might offer a design change here. But it's best practice in terms of accessibility,
Right.
that you have the entrance to the ramp as close as possible to the entrance of the stair. So it's just, people are, I mean, it's more useful that way, but also it's like, yeah, we're all going into this place together, not someone going way down there and then I'm just right here. So there's a couple reasons for that. Okay. Are there any other comments here? We'll bring the applicant up and have some questions, but before we do, okay. Bart, can we have a question about the side, like when we're looking at the side of the ramp, what are we looking at?
The siding, to that point, it was just to make everything look uniform. So we have the left addition, I'm going to call, that is a stairwell. I don't believe that was originally, I think that was a kitchen, but anyways, we'll call that stairwell the left door on the back of the building. That has a old brick foundation to it that is exposed. Underneath that very modern stoop, that is a block, cement block. And it's not out of trying to cover things up, it was just trying to make the building look more
No, I understand. It's
uniform.
a counterintuitive thing.
Right.
The
So-
standards are,
Right.
show the different periods that the building was added onto. And I think it's, it's fine.
Yeah, I
Don't go through
I offer that up
trouble.
because aesthetically, we really want to make this building nice. I mean, that's the goal. We have some significant goals, and we've procured a lot of excellent experts to work on this thing. So, dry blasting veneered brick is not something we normally do. We did that in the Riders Hobby Shop building when we brought that together. We've done it on a few other buildings on Main Street, but that is only just I'll leave it black if that, you guys
I
want
mean,
that.
I
I'll do
just-
whatever you want, but then.
There's
then
other
the-
things you can spend your money on that'll have more impact.
Right, and so then the new ramp, I wanted it brick only because then it would blend with all of that veneer nicely, but we can use anything you would, that
Brick
works
is,
for me.
brick is fine.
Yeah,
Brick is fine.
so-
Yeah.
When you see, when you build that ramp, is it wood framed, or are you planning on building it out of block and brick and having it solid and then skinning it with a veneer?
Yeah, it would be solid.
Okay.
It would be a solid cement structure, would be my hope for it. It'd just be a better long-term
Okay, the
piece.
veneer makes more sense, I see what
Yeah.
you're saying now. In my head, I saw it as a wood frame,
Yeah.
that's gonna be a weird thing, I get it now.
I think wood is slippery typically, and that
Yeah.
it just doesn't hold up and last well, so.
Agreed.
Are you amenable to switching the ramp
100%.
back? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna amend the motion to say that the ramp, so you'll need to have a landing there.
We'll put a landing at the edge.
Yeah.
Just back from the building, landing, and then bring it back, and it will basically start just to the right of where the step going up would.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so, and then we're gonna amend the motion to say that the handrail, or the guardrail is gonna be cedar. And we're gonna amend the motion to say that the ramp skirt is gonna be a brick veneer.
I love it.
All right, I think that's fine. I mean, if this was a little, you can sit, I think. If this was gonna be a little more complex, I'd say we need to see drawings, but do you think we need to see drawings, or are we feeling pretty good? Just with-
If we spec out the things that we just talked about, I think it's.
Okay. Can you handle that in the motion?
Sure.
Can I ask a clarifying
please.
question?
What's going on?
So are you going to add the double back in the motion or no?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
So we're adding three things to the motion. One is the switchback of the ramp. One is the materials of the baluster are, what did I say, guardrail and posts are cedar, and three, the skirt is a brick veneer. So
And do you want to add something too about the PVC on the,
Well, we might as well. I don't know if we care so much
Okay.
about that, right? I mean, that could be wood or PVC, or it seems like, yeah, so let's just
Okay.
leave that open then, for the ease of the applicant.
Sure. Can I begin?
Yeah.
Great. I move that the commission issue a certificate of appropriateness for the application of 903 West Huron, a contributing property of the Old West Side Historic District, to replace a rear window with a door and add a new stoop, stairs, a switchback ramp for access, with the guard and post being cedar material with a post brick veneer for the access. The proposed work is compatible in exterior design, arrangement, texture, material, and relationship to the rest of the building and the surrounding area.
You don't have to read
Great.
the rest of it, yeah. Are we good?
Yeah.
Okay. Mariana, did you get that? Okay. We didn't mention the wood trim around the door, and I think we should add that too, actually, because it's not there right now. And we just have to make sure that that door gets trimmed. So can you don't need to read the whole thing, but
Sure.
can you also add wood trim on the door? Okay,
To replace the rear window with a door with wood trim.
there you go. Okay. It seems like we've gotten through it all. Is there anything else remaining out there? Okay. Mariana, are you good with what we've gone through there? You got
yes,
it all?
yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
Very good. In that case, we're going to go to a vote. All those in favor of the motion, please say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, please say no. The motion carries. Your application has been approved.
Thank you, guys.
Congratulations.
And
Yep.
all of your comments, I truly
Of course.
appreciate.
And-
Honestly, I really, really do.
We appreciate your work too, and anything that you're changing, removing from the house, please contact Mariana.
I'm coming to see you guys, don't worry.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Well, that is the old business. Now we're going to go to some new business, and we've got 4 hearings tonight. The first hearing, F1, is 223 South Main Street. Mariana, the staff report, whenever you're ready, please.
Yes, so this is 223 South Main Street, currently occupied by Cherry Republic. It is located on a prominent corner lot in downtown Ann Arbor on the corner of East Liberty and South Main Street. This Italianate-style building was constructed in 1869 and was historically used as a grocery store for John Gurner. It is a 3-story brick building with a modern storefront at the ground floor. There have been minimal changes to the building. In 2008, the HDC approved the installation of 2 bay windows on the south elevation facing Liberty Street, and the current signage was installed in 2011. Again, this is on the corner of South Main and East Liberty Streets. The applicant is requesting review of work started or completed at this address without a certificate of appropriateness. This work includes the installation of 3 new vents on the south elevation facing Liberty Street, and therefore the removal of historic masonry. On May 15th, 2024, the work was noticed by a city official who had previously explained that HDC approval would be required for new openings in the exterior facade. So here are some images that were taken at review committee this week. You can see, if my mouse would work. These are the 3 new openings along Liberty, just above the bay windows. Another view. There's some more close-ups. The new penetrations are all circular, the 3 of them, and they're approximately 1 foot in diameter, and they're located approximately 10 feet above the sidewalk. Here are the drawings that you can see. They are circular penetrations in the masonry, and the applicant is proposing to cover them with these square vents. Here are some applicant photos, and then here is what the vent would look like. I did read these Secretary of Interior standards, so I'm just going to flip through these ones already. But I will say that the work does not follow the Secretary of the Interior's recommendation of identifying and preserving masonry features that are important in defining the overall historic character of the building, such as walls. And it also does not follow the Ann Arbor Historic District guidelines, which state that attaching mechanical equipment so that historic fabric is not damaged or destroyed is appropriate, and installing mechanical equipment and wiring in locations on the roof, rear elevations, or in alleys so they are not visible from the street is also appropriate. So there are some more SOI guidelines about changing masonry and mechanical systems and health and safety. Similar ones in the Ann Arbor Historic District Design Guidelines. And the Historic District Commission must decide if these 3 new penetrations on the south elevation facing Liberty Street are significant intrusions and require remediation, or if they are approvable. Thanks.
Thank you for the staff report. Now we'll go on to the review committee report. So please let us know when you're there looking at it. You know, what is
Absolutely.
it? What does it look like?
So they are, you can see from the picture, it's pretty obvious. So some things that need to be emphasized. This is even though this is a Main Street building and this isn't the Main Street face, this is Liberty at the corner of Liberty and Main. It's about as high profile as any building in the city gets. And they're not symmetrical in any way of the building, not that that would be something that I think that would ameliorate this, but they're sort of randomized, wherever I guess they were necessary internally. They're not inconspicuous. Like they hit you over the head. During the site visit, we were looking at them and head scratching, and one of the things that also seems possible is that the relatively new soffitting around that's not original glass. So you've got these window systems that were put in clearly after the advent of the building itself. There's some aluminum soffit overhang that you can just see indication of on that picture. If we were to zoom in, you could see it better, but there's maybe a 8 to 10 inch overhang on that, there you go. And every one of those penetrations is within 15 inches of one of those soffits. If the purpose of these vents, I'm assuming from the giant silver dryer vents that they want to stick on the side of the building, that they're needing to get air in or out. But it seems like you could vent out of that soffit and have it not interrupt the visual presentation of the building at all. You're close enough to those window systems that you could get there without punching holes in the brick face.
Good, okay. Thank you, Commissioner Kaplan. Okay, now we'll move on to the applicant comments. Is the applicant here? Great.
I am.
Fantastic. Please approach the podium, provide your name and address for the record, and you've got 5 minutes to comment on what you've heard so far.
My name's Jerome Fletcher. My address is 1331 South Z Road, Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Great, so any comments on what you've heard, or?
So, yes, can we go back to the first picture that showed all three vents? Yeah, that one there, that's fine. So they are at different elevations, yes. There's structural reasons why that happened, and also there's HVAC code reasons for venting, because one is an exhaust vent and it has to be so many feet away from a window that can open, and the other two are fresh air returns. These two that are closest to us in the picture on each side of that red pillar, those two are fresh air, and we did try to get them as close to the window as possible, but when those windows were put in, there was a steel header put in, obviously to carry the structural load of the building. So we couldn't get them any closer or try to incorporate them with the window in the design when the HVAC architect and the architect and I had talked about this several times. Now, just to note, this was a last resort design. We did go through several times of either trying to get to the roof or to the back alleyway. But the nature and design of the building, where the air recovery unit is located in Cherry Republic, we can't get to the back alleyway due to structural staircase that takes you all the way up to the third floor. And also, to go up to the roof, there's a kitchen, a culinary kitchen on the third floor that we can't, there's no space to do that. And in the second floor, there's office space that's rented, and it would go right through the office. And so we couldn't do those things in what we really tried to do in the design of the ductwork system. So that's why they had to come out that side due to the nature of how the air recovery unit, ventilation ductwork by code has to be installed.
Question, a couple questions here.
Yes.
You have another minute if you want to
Oh.
add something, yeah.
I do add this, the dryer vent, right? I totally agree with you that the design of that is not good. We were thinking of something circular, but we don't know how we would actually get it made yet. We were looking into those options, or a square. And we also talked about maybe some type of a different type of a cover for it that blended more with, say, the window aluminum or something of that nature in a design. But we did not have that. We didn't have that just at that time.
It's my understanding the proposal is that dryer vent that you're painting to match the brick, is that right?
It is going to be
Okay,
painted to match the brick. Yes.
That's the proposal on the table. If you get something better, if we approve that or not, but maybe you have something better, but we don't have it here, so we can't like vote on that, right?
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so just first of all, explain, you were told you can't do this without historic district approval, but then it happened anyway. Do you have an explanation?
No, we were never told that we couldn't do
You weren't,
that.
okay.
Because, so
We heard differently, I guess. But, yeah.
it must have been a miscommunication.
Yep.
through the plan review, right,
Uh-huh.
in the building permit, the HDC approved the plans. So on the mechanical
Right,
plans,
okay.
this was always designed this way.
Right, okay.
And the 3 penetrations always were in that design plan from the very first time they were submitted back in, would have been March of 23.
Okay.
Is when that was submitted and approved by the city and HDC.
There weren't elevations showing the penetration, but you had drawings, plan drawings probably, that show that there's going to be 3 penetrations.
Yeah, there are plan drawings that show,
Okay.
that show
And those were
that.
approved?
Yes.
Okay.
Those were approved. So we went ahead and put those in because we had to special order.
Yep, okay.
Right? So that's why we did that. And then we got the stop work order
Yeah.
because, hey, well, you guys didn't get this
Right,
approved.
because you need an elevation.
We
Okay.
need the elevation
Yeah.
print. So, we were hoping that through the elevation print, what we could get is, hey, we'd like to really work on making a different look for the exterior vent, but we have to have the exterior vent there in order to open the store. Because it's the last connection that we need for the HVAC mechanical to be passed, because everything else is done. And we
Okay,
won't be able to.
can you explain that a little more? Because Cherry Republic has been there for a while, so in my mind, I'm thinking, why do you need new HVAC? So it sounds like I'm not up to speed. Something's
Okay.
closed. Why do you need this? It's an ERV or something like
It's
that?
an air recovery
Yeah,
unit.
okay. Why
Yeah.
do you need this air recovery unit here?
It has to do with the mercantile code that's, it is supplied in the print. Now, I don't know if you guys have that copy.
No.
But in the original print, in the mercantile building code, because they're acquiring more space and now we've removed the interior wall, so now it's a combined
Okay.
space. And now they have a wine tasting bar.
Oh, okay.
It changed the requirements for moving air.
Okay.
Which made an upgrade in the ventilation system, which the building itself doesn't have the chase space to accommodate the newer type of air handler that has to be installed.
Okay.
That's why.
Yep. All right. Let me just see if I have any other questions. Okay, I mean, Jerome, that was actually a really good explanation. I don't have any other questions. Anyone else? Okay, so take a seat. We might call you back up in a sec, but thank you for that report. Okay. All right, so that was the applicant. Now we'll go, we're going to the public hearing. So now the public hearing is now open for this application at 223 South Main Street. So, we don't see anyone here approaching the podium. If there's someone on the phone, they can hit *9 to raise their hand. Julie?
There are no virtual hands raised at this time.
Very good, thank you. In that case, we will now close the public hearing portion for this application. And I will ask if there's a commissioner who would like to make a motion.
You have it in front of you, Ben?
I do. All right, I'll go for it. All right. I move that the commission issues a certificate of appropriateness for the 3 exterior masonry penetrations for ventilation on the south elevation of 223 South Main Street, a contributing property in the Main Street Historic District. The work as completed is compatible in exterior design, arrangement, texture, material, and in relationship to the rest of the building and the surrounding area, and meets the Secretary of Interior standards for rehabilitation and guidelines for rehabilitation's historic buildings. In particular, standards 1, 2, 5, and 9, and the guidelines for masonry and mechanical systems, and the Ann Arbor Historic District design guidelines for masonry and mechanical equipment. In addition, never mind. Kept going.
Right, okay, that's if this doesn't pass. Okay, does someone want to second that?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. That was moved by Commissioner Calderon, seconded by Commissioner Smith. Okay, so now let's discuss. Okay. Commissioner Kaplan, you had you're a real problem solver today, which is good. That's probably, yeah, that makes sense. But from what you heard from Jerome, are you still thinking that they could have done better here?
Yes.
Okay, well, let's have you say something, and then we'll probably have Jerome come back and tell you.
I'm at a disadvantage because
Yeah.
I don't have the interior plans and I don't know where your limitations are. So I'm looking at an outside wall and trying to figure out how to keep it as close to the same or keeping the pedestrian experience of the building the same without getting in your way of doing your job. And I'm wondering, I can see if those windows were put in after the fact and there's a big header there, that makes perfect sense to me. I'm wondering if there is any way or latitude, given what you have to do with the air handling systems, to get those vents over the soffits for the glass. So that, forget the header, forget going through the metal header, what's sitting right on top of that, and can you get into that? What I'm picturing in my head is something where the element that's already there, the black anodized aluminum and the flashing that goes in, if it went 6 inches higher all the way across, the element...
Isn't that where the beam is?
The beam should be right behind that where the soffit sticks out, but what if the flashing's sitting above it? Just that skirt went a little higher and it disguised the air handling that you needed. Now, what I don't know is there could be a giant beam going across the building inside that's in your way. I don't know. I'm looking for any way to get you what you need without the asymmetrical different height holes kind of in no way relating to especially in this building and the one across the street, there's a real cadence to them, right? There's column, window, column, and there's a repetition of the sections in the bays, and these things, they stick out more because of this, because of the way the building's built. They really jump out. And I'm just looking, I'm spitballing things, and I don't know, you can't go up into the space above, and I see that, and I know the roof penetrations are a hassle. I'm also wondering if you could go down. Can you go to the bottom where I see a band across the bottom of the building where the darker color or the change in material would be another easy place to hide a rectangular vent.
Well, it's the two fresh air intakes. You can't put that. Yeah.
So there is a comparable for that, and that's on the Pretzel Bell building on the Liberty Street side. Has two old vents that are just south of that door into the kitchen that are down, at probably knee level height that are, just have pretty standard grates over them that would be much preferred to probably the asymmetry of what's there now.
Yeah, I just think we owe it to the building to see if we should exhaust every opportunity to get them someplace where they're a little better hidden. But again, you know things about the inside of the building that I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we've heard from Jerome, but I think that we need to hear from him again, I think.
Yes.
I'm at a loss here because I'm picturing like this place is like, this is the last thing that they need to get open. They've got...
Yes.
The ducting is already in there, and who knows, what else. So this is just so frustrating because now here we are, like, it's not symmetrical or so, and it's like, they're gonna, that's what's, and I totally agree with you, that this is such that we're talking about this so far after the fact of when we really could do something without it costing a lot of money and delaying things. Okay, so Jerome, why don't you come back up and you can tell we're kind of frustrated with our options here because I feel like my options are like I accept this or kind of really ruin your guys next little process here. So is there anything besides those two options that you can think of? Because I don't want to accept this, and also we don't want to just, send you guys off in some really bad direction. So what do you got that's something that we can work with?
We do have an issue, right? we can't lower there's a code that prevents me from bringing those, new code, right? Probably not when those ones were put in the pretzel belt. Because it's a sidewalk, it has to be at a 10-foot mark or above that.
For the fresh air intake.
Yeah.
And the exhaust?
The exhaust, excuse me, I'm not a mechanical contractor. I know a lot, but not everything. I'm not exactly sure. I just know that it has to be a certain distance from
the
any
intake.
opening.
Yeah, okay. Right.
And because there's that doorway there that takes you into, the actual Fritz building, it can't come down any lower than,
Yeah.
we wanted to make it more symmetrical with the existing furnace vent that comes out there that's painted the same color as the brick. But they have to stay so many feet apart as well.
Yeah.
In terms of what other solutions do I have?
And then you said you had explored more discrete HVAC caps?
Well, let's hear what he's got to say before we go.
So-
Hold that thought.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't believe, from my knowledge, right, and the engineer, the HVAC engineer, to go down, say, like, to the street level and have a vent that comes up. Is that an option that we explored? We discussed it, but we don't necessarily know how to make that happen because the ERV unit is located in the back of the other unit. Now, that foundation wall is 28 inches thick, and to get two more ventilation pipes from up on the main floor down into the basement, then over through the penetration, through the foundation wall to the other side to get out maybe underneath one of those two windows is an astronomical cost. And we wouldn't have the clearance because of the ceiling height. And because all of our fire suppression is already installed, we would have a remake of that as well. Because because it's all sprinkled, it's all brand new, everything.
Yeah.
The whole entire space is brought to new building code standards.
Is it possible so Ben, I'll ask my question and then we'll get to your question, Ben. So is it possible to make them more like all in one line, the entire elevation the same?
The two fresh air vents, we could raise up to make it in line with the exhaust vent.
Okay. All right, well, let's hold that thought. That's something. Okay. And then, did you have was it a comment or did you want Jerome to say more about the other ideas for?
You'd mentioned before that you had explored more discrete HVAC caps.
Yeah,
vents.
some more discrete HVAC caps. Old school way of doing brick ventilation with bricks, and it would have a fabric material on the inside, so it looked like a slot in the brick to receive air. I'm not a mechanical engineer. I don't know if that would require the opening to be larger or if it could be smaller. I can't answer that question,
Okay.
but I think, from a design perspective, if it was brick or acted like brick, right, and gave that look and was painted the same color as the building is now, that might be something that's totally acceptable and blend right in. We had toyed with some round vents. They still have louvers on them, so they're still noticeable, but they're not nearly as noticeable as a dryer vent. They would be in more line elevation wise, flush with the brick facade, right? So that they sat in. That was another thought we had.
Okay. Okay, thank you for that, Jerome. Does anyone else have any other questions, comments right now? I think we need to discuss some more. Appreciate it. Okay, so what I heard was that well, I didn't hear like, okay, we're going to remove them all. That's not happening. It just, I don't know, it seems like,
There's a lot of water already on the bridge.
yeah.
I see that.
So what I heard was that they could all be the same elevation, which, you know, we've already removed the historic brick. I should have asked, do you have the brick, or you'd have to match the brick?
We would have to match the
Yeah,
brick?
right, okay, very good. Okay, so they could all be the same elevation, and they could all have a flush vent cap instead of a protruding vent cap.
I also heard the potential for an inset that was masonry based and slotted so that it would look like the wall just had gills in it. Was I right about that?
That's right, yes.
That makes a lot of sense. to me.
Oh, okay. So not only is it flush, but it has this sort of running bond sort of
It's as though you
opening
took a big
that,
router and grooved
yeah,
slits into the brick.
right,
When
okay,
the paint goes on,
It's a-
you see a flat wall
You see a
with
flat
little
wall.
slits.
yeah.
That's right.
I think that
Okay.
that could work.
All right, so it's not only a flush vent cap, but it's a brick cutouts or something, brick-shaped cutouts. Are the cutouts brick-shaped? Yeah. Or is it the mortar? It's fine, brick-shaped cutouts. Okay, all right, so how's everyone feeling right now? Any comments on if, you know, what if we put all those things in the motion? I mean, and I think, does the motion say, I've heard Jerome say that they're painting it to match. I feel like I read that in the staff report. Does that say, okay. So we've got that too. So they're all the same elevation. We're going to paint to match the color, and they've got the brick-shaped flush vent caps. They're not symmetrical, but I mean, I don't think symmetrical is really helping me at all. And even if they're over the window, when you're at the window, you can't see them. But when you're obviously, like, I can see the brick that's above the window from wherever this photo was taken. So I don't feel like that's really even you know, it'd be great if they were somehow aligned better,
I
but,
think what I'm aware of now that I wasn't before is that these holes are, I mean, there's an existing installed system already here. It's in there, it's built
Yeah.
around a lot of other limitations that, he's got a lot of hoops to jump through.
Yeah.
So this is just the last one.
Yeah.
So moving it to another part of the wall doesn't seem practical at all.
right.
But I think
Well-
getting the texture consistent and the projection
Yeah, it's
eliminated,
gonna
I
help.
think that's a decent compromise.
Yeah, I think it is a compromise. I mean, if you know, well, we are where we are, so let's not even go there. Okay, so I think we've heard everything, but we need to get it in the motion, and Ben, once again, is the motion reader. Great. Mariana, everything that you've heard so far, are you up to speed on and
So
okay with?
are you asking for them to be at the same height or not?
Yes, all the same elevation, and it sounds like they're going to be brought up to the same height as the exhaust vent, but we don't even have to put that in, just, they should all be the same elevation. And then they can figure out which one, you know, how they want to do that best. So the two things I see are all the same elevation, and that the vent cap is flush with the wall with brick-shaped cutouts. So Ben will read that in the motion, and then,
Sure,
you don't have to read the whole motion, I think you could just say where you're gonna add.
no problem.
Yeah.
So adding after 3 exterior masonry penetrations for ventilation on the south elevation with a brick-shaped cutout flush vent caps, painted to match, all at the same elevation.
That works for me. Okay, all right, do we have any comments there, or we kind of been through it? Okay. Let's take this to a vote. All those in favor of the motion, please say yes.
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 All those opposed, say no. Okay, the motion carries. Your application's been approved as amended. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, have a good night.
Appreciate that.
Okay. All right, we're going to move on here. We're heading to F2. It's 207 North State Street. Mariana, whenever you're ready, please.
All right, so this one, commissioners received an updated agenda. This is the one that had updates to the application that were added today. So I will highlight them, but please bear with me. There are a lot of kind of small things with this application, so there is a lot going on. But just to start, 207 North State Street is a two-story building with a gable roof and wood lap and shingle siding. The duplex first appears on the 1925 Sanborn Fire Insurance Map. According to earlier Sanborn maps, there was a single-family house at the address before 1925. On the map, the 207 North State Street is shown as a frame building with a porch and a porch on the street-facing elevation. The same footprint and configuration are shown on the 1948 Sanborn map, so there were no major structural changes during the period of significance. There have been limited changes post-1945, including two small covered entrance porches on the north and south sides of the house near the rear. The exact date of these is unknown, but they do not appear on any of the Sanborn maps or 1973 building permits. According to the building permits, in 1973, the fire escapes on the front and the back of the house were rebuilt and expanded. It's unclear if they were present before 1973. So this house is located on the west side of North State Street, south of Catherine Street, and north of East Ann Street. Okay, a lot of things here. So the applicant seeks HDC approval to add two dormers, one on either side of the roof gable. The applicant also seeks HDC approval to add egress windows at the basement, install skylights on the roof, remove the non-historic entrance porch on the south side, and add two new entrance doors at the back of the house. Additional proposed works includes removing the front fire escape, rebuilding the exterior stairs at the rear, mini split installation, window replacement, and removing the basement cover to extend the basement stairs and install a new person door and window at the south elevation. So to recap all of that, this is 207 North State Street. I will start with the rear elevation. This is the back of the house, the west side. So there will be, overall, the fire escape will be rebuilt, and there will be some movement of the windows and doors on this elevation that I will highlight when we get to the drawings. This is the north side entrance porch, which is proposed to be kept and then turned, the stairs will be removed and then it'll be turned into just a porch for the unit. This is the basement entrance with the cover that is proposed to be, the cover is proposed to be removed and then the stairs extended. Another shot of the basement cover, and then this right here is the other side entrance porch, which you can see has been updated with this new siding. A couple other views of the porches. Another view of the back of the house. And then the side. These are historic windows for the most part. These ones right here in the middle are inoperable and are proposed to be repaired. And the applicant has said that if there are any issues with the repairs and they might need to be replaced, that will come at a later date. But for now, the proposal is to repair. Side of the house. Again, that's another shot of the windows. Front of the house, so you can see this is the front fire escape that was added in 1973, which will be removed and will be really great for the front of the house. And then, well, again, I'll talk about this when we get to the drawings, but another change is that these four non-historic windows up here are proposed to be removed and then replaced with two new windows in the same opening, but then have some of the matching siding infill in between the two windows. Another shot of the porch and the fire escape. Okay, so this is the east elevation. again, the big thing with this one is the dormers. There'll be one on the north side and one on the south side, so you can see them here. And then the eave, and so this side, this is the east side, this will be kept. The roof gable, the outline of the roof will be kept. These are dormers, not, a true addition with more floor space. The south side, the existing, you can see the basement entrance as it exists now. Again, here's the dormer. You can see the new windows, and then they are also proposing to add a skylight on the existing roof. Again, the end of the roof gable will be kept. You can see that here. This on the south side, this is where the porch, side entrance porch, will be removed, and then the existing door will be kept and then fixed in place. 2 new egress windows are proposed to be added on the south side, and then 1 new window and door where the basement steps will be extended, and then you can see the cover has been removed. Back elevation, the fire escape kind of extends the entire length of this side of the house. It's proposed to be removed and rebuilt. It'll be rebuilt in a more compact way so that it won't be so wide and so noticeable. This door here is going to be removed. The framing and trim will be kept, but then it'll be infilled with matching siding. This door will be kept, and then you'll see on the proposed elevation that there'll be a new door here, and then windows and new window and door up here as well. So again, those dormers on either side, window and new door, fire escape, which is much more compact, another new door, and then there is an existing historic window here that is proposed to be removed for this new door, but then the window will be kept, carefully removed, and then reinstalled down here in this original opening that does not currently have a historic window. That one has been replaced, but is the same side and then will match this side of the house. Note the new egress windows at the bottom. And then mini splits are going to be installed. They're going to be on all of the landings, so they won't be attached to the elevation itself. Any ventilation will go through the roof. North side as it exists. This is the side entrance porch that will be kept. So you can see that it will be kept, but these stairs will be removed. So it'll really just be a balcony. We have the egress windows at the bottom in the basement, again, the dormer, and then this new skylight. And these are the windows that will be repaired. We have some floor plans, basement. Again, please note that this new entrance will be extended, and then the door will be below grade. First floor, second floor, third floor. So there was a lot there. Staff appreciates the remediation effort of the applicant to remove the non-historic egress stairs on the front of the house. Staff feels that the size, location, and design of the proposed dormers follow design guidelines to the extent possible. And staff overall recommends approval of the work except for the 2 egress windows that are closest to State Street on the north and south elevations because of their visibility from the street. So again, a lot there. Happy to go back through things, clarify, and then the applicants are here as well. Thanks.
Okay, thank you for the staff report, Mariana. I appreciate that. There is really a lot in there. So yeah, we'll probably have questions for you as we go. But in the meantime, let's move forward with the review committee report. Commissioner Kaplan.
Yeah, so I think the first impression that one gets when they come up to this house is that it is currently encapsulated by very old fire escapes, most of which I think it's a coin toss in safety whether you stay in the flyer and use the stairs. That they're rickety. So the effort of the owner to bring a new logic to emergency egress is I think going to bring a huge improvement to the house. It seems like what's being proposed is more systematic and it's going to clean up the face of the house. you can see that in some places, the original windows have these really interesting, tall, narrow, 3-pane vertical. You can just see it if you zoom in. It's hidden a lot by storms, but so there are places where they still exist in the house, and the owner is trying to keep them on location where they have to be removed for the doors and the escapes, to put them in places where a window historically has just been removed is great.
Okay.
I think that's all I've got.
Can you just comment on the, like, so how close is the sidewalk, you know, like, because the staff report brought up the egress windows on either side, so do you have a feel for when you're there? Is the house very close to the sidewalk? Do you have a comment on that, or you don't have to? You don't want, but I'm curious about that from the staff report.
I don't know that struck me, just personally, like, it didn't hit me, so I can't comment to that.
Very good. Okay. Okay, thank you, Commissioner Kaplan. We will now move on to applicant comments. Is the applicant here?
Yes.
Oh, great. Would you please approach the podium, provide your name and address for the record, and you've got 5 minutes to speak. You've heard some comments so far, and please let us know what you're thinking.
Okay. So my name is Yi Shen Shen. My address is 4051 Breakwater Drive in Okemos, Michigan. So yeah, I appreciate the committee help and give a lot of suggestion, and including the material and some brilliant suggestion to swap save the historical window. And yeah, we will clear the face of the house to make it looks better. And just the egress window, because I studied for a few case back, and I saw people like put the egress window about 5 feet away from the street. So that's why I try to make the egress window as far as possible. So to fit to follow the guideline I saw previously. So if you have any problem, like the egress between the two houses, so the south side of the egress, I think it's not noticeable from the street, and the north side is more because there is a driveway. But I've tried to have it as away from the street as possible. So I would like to hope that we can have a egress window there. Yeah, that's my comment.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone have any questions? One moment, please.
Yeah, sure.
There's a lot going on. You're doing quite a lot of work here, so. Okay, so on one of the side porches, this was a change. You were going to remove the side porch, but now you're keeping one of the side porches?
Yes, there are two side porches.
Yeah, and
one
is there?
North and the south one, so we will keep the.
This one you're going to keep?
North, yes.
Yeah, and you're going to remove the stair. And what's going to be there where the stair is right now?
So we will add a railing to stop people falling from the platform.
And
so it's just like a porch, little porch.
Okay, so what's the railing going to look like? Is it on the drawings?
No,
Okay.
because it's new. When Steve gave me the suggestion, so I haven't put that in the drawing yet.
Okay.
I add it. So
All
it's
right.
like just like a two horizontal one and the two vertical one.
Yeah, there's an example in the standards, and you just make sure that you get approval from the from Jill or Mariana. But what you're talking about sounds like that's the appropriate. But we can't, since it's not drawn. We can't approve it. But, okay, so is the door going to remain, or the door's going to switch to a window here?
No, it's remain.
The door remains, okay, I couldn't tell from the drawings, okay. All right. And so, like, on the other side, where you are removing the porch, there's going to be, siding and trim and stuff like that won't be there. You know, when the porch is gone, there'll be like blank spots, you know, where the porch was. So what are you going to infill those blank spots with?
So actually, it's no, we just remove, so the door is still there.
Yeah, okay.
So,
Is there siding or something like, will you have to add siding or trim? Are you planning to just match existing if you need to?
yeah, if match is in,
Okay.
if we need to, but I don't think there is anything we need to.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
because the porch is attached to the, maybe just the foundation part.
Okay, okay. Okay, and so can we look at the basement floor plan, please? All right, so, I mean, in the staff report, they talked about the egress here. So we just, before we, discuss if it's appropriate, it's really nice to know, like, is there another way that you could have laid out the basement where you could have had, the egress windows, like the bedrooms may be further away from the street or something like that. Is it possible that the communal area could have been on the east, is that the east side of the, or, why do the bedrooms have to be there, I guess is the question.
So like you saw, like there are 4 bedrooms to the north side of the house. So I try to make the window as far from
Yeah, I
the
see that,
street.
right? You
Yeah.
shifted it over, yeah. That's
So maybe I can still move it a little, 1 or 2 feet back a little to arrange the wall.
on the south side.
But yeah, just the room will a little bit weird, not very natural shaped. But yeah, if you want me to do that, we can move another 1 or 2 feet.
Yeah, I guess that I was thinking that it'd be nice if you could move where the kitchen and the couches are into the east side of the house, but I see that you need the egress stair down there, so then we would have the egress stair at the front of the house, which we don't want that. Yeah, so, it's just good to go through and make sure that, that there's not an obvious change that then would allow for the egress wells to be pushed back. Okay. Okay, and then in the first floor plan, it just looks like, right now you have 2 front doors, but I suppose that, is one of the front doors just being locked in place, or is, okay, all right. You're leaving it there, it's
Yes.
just, okay,
Just block from the inside.
got it. Okay, those were my questions. Did anyone else have anything? Okay. Well, thank you for answering those questions. Take a seat. We might bring you back up in a second, but for now, we got to go to the public hearing. So, the public hearing is now open for this application at 207 North State Street. I don't see anyone approaching the podium here. Julia, do we have anyone?
There are no hands raised virtually at this time.
Okay, so no one's hitting star 9 on this one. Okay, we'll move on then. We'll close the public hearing portion for this application, and I will ask if there's any commissioner who would like to make a motion.
Sure,
Okay.
even though it's Ben's job.
It's in there somewhere.
I was thinking about it.
We like to, it could be. So,
So we've got two
yeah.
possible, I'll just read the first one.
Yeah,
It doesn't
the
get
egress
into-
windows were taken out, and so we could just go through it separately, I suppose.
Yeah. I move the commission issue a certificate of appropriateness for the application at 207 North State Street, a contributing property in the Old Fourth Ward Historic District, to add 2 dormers, remove the egress stairs on the front elevation, rebuild the egress stairs on the rear elevation, install mini splits at the rear of the house, add skylights to the roof, install new entrances and infill openings on the rear elevation, Remove south side porch, remove the stairs on the north side porch, and install a new railing on the condition that the railing follows the design guidelines. Extend the basement stairs and add a new person door and window. Remove the non-historic windows on the third floor of the front elevation and replace them with siding that matches the historic, and 2 new windows provided that the new windows are approved by staff. Repair the second story windows on the north elevation. Install 3 new egress windows on the west elevation, and install 3 new egress windows on the basement of the north elevation and 1 on the south elevation, with the exception of the windows closest to North State Street on the south, on the drawings. As proposed, the work is compatible in exterior design, arrangement, texture, material, in relationship to the rest of the building and surrounding area, and meets the Secretary of Interior standards for rehabilitation and guidelines for rehabilitating historic buildings, in particular standards 2, 9, and 10, and the guidelines for building site additions, roofs, wood windows, mechanical systems, health and safety, and entrances and porches, as well as the Ann Arbor Historic District design guidelines for all additions, residential additions, roofs, wood, windows, mechanical equipment, and residential porches. God, that was exhausting.
That was a very long motion. Thank you for reading that. Why was that so long? Do we have a second on? Okay, great. So that was moved by Commissioner Smith and seconded by Commissioner Kaplan. Yeah, that was long, I guess, because there is just a lot to do here. And just so the applicant knows what we're doing here, we're going through this motion with those 2 egress windows separated out. After we vote on this, we're going to discuss them separately. So in this motion, they're not. This motion says that we're approving everything except those 2 egress windows. After this, we're going to have a separate motion just for those 2 egress windows, and we will vote yes or no on those. So that's the process here. Right now, we're just discussing the motion, which was for everything except those 2 windows. Is that what you feel like you read?
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
I'm not really sure what that word salad was,
I know.
but I just read what was written.
Yeah, okay. Well, let's just make sure then, because I feel like that's what was.
We've got dormers, removing the egress stairs on the east elevation, rebuilding the egress stairs on.
Yeah, with the exception of the windows, closest to North State. Let's see. Install 3 new egress windows on the basement of the north elevation, and 1 on the south elevation, with the exception of the windows closest to the North State Street on the drawings. Yeah, so this motion is everything but that. Okay, so can we just go to the west elevation maybe? That's the rear elevation. I guess let's talk about this elevation first. It's the rear-facing elevation. I mean, there's, none of this will be seen from the public right-of-way. I feel like it's an improvement, more or less, to what's there anyway. So I'm not hearing any major comments regarding this one. Okay. Okay, so then I guess the north and south are kind of similar, where we have these dormers. The dormers are set back. Did you get a feel for when you're there, like what's the impact of the dormers?
I mean, I think you'll see them from the back, but it had come out in the site visit that there had been some discussion already between the owner and Jill, and the suggestion was to bring the dormers back behind the chimney, which these plans clearly honor.
Okay. A lot of times there's you bring the roof line through on the dormer. It looks like there's a trim band or something that's going to be there. Is it called out on the north side maybe? I want, because that's not.
Are you talking about below here?
Yes, what is that?
That is the overhang eave of the existing roof.
Oh, good. Okay, it's drawn as if that is removed and like a new trim board is put in its place. But really, that eave and overhang is going to extend all the way through.
Correct.
Oh, that's great. Okay. That's good, because then that really shows that the dormer is an addition, which is what differentiates it as something new from the historic, which is what we like, because that's what the standard says to do. So that's good. Okay, so so then in that case, besides the egress window that we're not talking about, anything on the north or south elevations worth commenting on? Okay. Let's look at the north, actually, as well, just real quick here. North new, okay. So, yeah, I'm not seeing anything here. So let's take a look at the front elevation. That's the east. Okay, so really, I mean, the big change here is that hideous fire escape is being removed, which is, the staff report already mentioned, and we would echo that it's, that's a huge improvement. I know that I'm just curious, like, there's a lot of heat pumps being added, but I'm still seeing the AC, the through-the-wall AC. Is the through-the-wall AC on the front elevation going to remain in place, or is that being?
We can remove that.
I'm just curious. It's not anything that is going to change the proposal for me.
Yeah.
I was just wondering, because you're adding all these heat pumps, if it was great, we can remove all the through-the-wall AC.
I think we can keep it there and just seal from inside. We don't need that open for AC anymore.
So that's going to be removed, okay. All right, and then the windows, that's a new addition to us. We're just seeing that now, but to me, that seems much more appropriate than what is there for a front elevation of a historic home. And I think that the window, do we know what window that is, Mariana? Do we have something in the staff report?
No, these are the ones that were just added today, and so we don't have all of the details.
Do we know that are they wood windows with
They
the?
are all the same with the north and the south.
They're the same. They match the north-south. They match all the other windows.
Yes.
Okay.
I think we'll ask that these windows come through for staff approval, since they are on the front elevation.
So are you asking that right now, or do we need to do something in the motion?
It's in the motion right now.
It's in the motion,
Yeah.
okay.
Specifically for these windows, that they should have staff approval.
Got it, okay. That seems, I'm not, okay, so I'm just looking at the window information. Okay, they're the gelled yeah. Okay, I just need to remind myself they're clad wood windows. Okay. All right. Okay, so then, well, that's the whole, we went all the way around. So, sorry, there was just so many things going on. It just seemed like good to go elevation by elevation. All right, so I really didn't hear any pause. Okay, so then let's go to a vote on this motion, and then we'll talk egress windows. Okay, so all those in favor of the motion, please say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, please say no. Okay, so that motion carries. That part of the application has been approved. So everything except the two egress windows and Commissioner Smith, could I ask you, since you?
Yes.
Okay.
For the egress windows nearest State Street, I move that the commission issue a certificate of appropriateness for the application at 207 North State Street, a contributing property in the old Fourth Ward Historic District. Install new egress windows on the basement on the north elevation, located 6 feet and 3 inches from the front elevation. and one on the south elevation located 6 feet from the front elevation. As proposed, the work is compatible in exterior design arrangement, texture, material, and relationship to the rest of the building, the surrounding area, and meets the Secretary of Interior's standards for rehabilitation and guidelines for rehabilitating historic buildings, in particular standards 2, 9, and 10, and the guidelines for windows, as well as the Ann Arbor Historic District design guidelines for windows.
Second.
That was moved by Commissioner Smith and seconded by Commissioner Calderon. What does anyone think about this? We've heard from staff that it's like questionable, so any thoughts?
I did dredge something back up. One of the things that doesn't show from the drawings, the proximity of these houses to one another. They're pretty close together.
Yeah.
And so even something fairly close to the front isn't the intrusion on a passerby's vision that it would be, because there's the corner of a neighboring house on either side that kind of, that's what's occupying your field of vision the most.
Sure.
So I think it's less obvious here than it might be in a house that's sort of more out there by itself.
Yeah, I mean, the egress window thing is always hard to kind of imagine what it's going to look like. And so, you know, it's just this little thing sticking up, you know, but you really see, sometimes they really, you know, they really draw your eye. But I guess knowing that the houses are close together, it would draw your eye less, I believe. This is kind of nice how it's lined up here. On the north elevation, is that where the 6 and the 6-7 come into play, or? No, they don't have the, oh wait, oh yeah, that 6-3, sorry. It's kind of lined up. Yeah, come if you have a comment here. Yeah, approach the podium though.
The south side of the elevation, now there's a fire escape, so it's really ugly. There's something just over there. So
Yeah.
I think we replace it with the egress window, nobody will notice. Yeah. It's
Okay.
make it better.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's a good
my
point.
comment.
Yep, okay, thank you. All right. I'd like to hear from someone else, Commissioner Smith or Calderon. What are your thoughts on?
I mean, you know, particularly on the south elevation, you know, you can't get worse than what's there now.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think it's going to be particularly problematic. It'll be a little bit more, and I'm just looking at the Google Street View photos, which
Yeah.
were taken this April. You know, it'll be a little bit more noticeable. You know, I mean, it's student rentals, like driveways, kind of, you know, it's not particularly aesthetic in between those two houses on the north side either. I don't really have a tremendous issue with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's something about this neighborhood that you kind of expect to see it at this
Yeah,
point.
right.
And it is what it is, I guess. It's removable or reversible, you
Yeah.
know.
I mean, I feel like it's a fine trade-off to get rid of the
Yeah.
fire escape on the front of the building, and
Yeah.
the side of the building that you can see.
Yeah, I think that, and it is a bedroom for someone. I mean, you know,
Right.
if you say, oh, you can't have
Right, then there's,
an egress window in this sort of setting, you're talking about removing a building versus or a bedroom versus
Right.
other settings. And so, not that that's our purview really at all.
but it's part of the, you know, I mean, I'm sure it factors into having the money to do the project and, you know.
And to keep this building looking nice, yes, okay. All right, Commissioner Calderon, do you have a comment on the egress window?
I mean, I would agree with all the comments said. What's going to be changed is, what would be changed would be for the better. And then on the other side of the house, back to the comment, you have the alleyway, you have the separation between the two, so your alley won't be brought down, it'll be brought forward.
Okay, all right, well, let's move this to a vote here. All those in favor of the motion, please say yes.
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 All those opposed, please say no. The motion carries, your application's been approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. And so now we're gonna move on here to F3. It's 203 North State Street, right next door. Mariana, the staff report, please.
Yes, we are right next door, and it is the same applicant, so it is a very similar project. There are similarly a lot of the same things happening. There are still a lot happening, but a lot of it looks like what we just saw at 207 North State. But just to give a quick overview, 203 North State Street is a two-story frame house with a gable roof that fronts State Street. Behind the main two-story section, there is a 1.5-story section and then a 1-story section behind that. This is how the house appears on the Sanborn Fire insurance maps beginning in 1925. By 1948, the house also had the two 1-story bump outs on the south elevation. These are still extant and feature decorative cornices and brackets. There have been no major changes to the structure of the house since the period of significance. At some point before 1969, the house was re-sided. Later, some non-historic decorative elements were added, such as the faux shutters on the east elevation, the front-facing elevation. Again, house is located on the west side of North State Street, south of Catherine Street, and on the north of East Ann Street. It is a corner lot on North State and East Ann Street. So the applicant seeks HDC approval to add a second-story rear addition. The applicant also seeks approval to remove the non-historic siding on the house and restore the historic siding below as much as possible. Additional work would include hanging compatible shutters on the front elevation, installing new egress windows on the north and west elevations, installing mini splits, and rebuilding the egress stairs on the north elevation for safety. So going through, this is the front elevation where you can see the kind of faux shutters, vertical boards that were added, and then this is the non-historic siding that is proposed to be removed. It does look like the house has a lot of additions, but this is actually the same shape and overall structure that it has always been. And then these are the bump outs that were added before the period of significance ended. The addition is proposed to be a second-story addition right here above this rearmost one-story section of the house. This is a corner lot, so it will be visible, but it is at the rear of the house. Just another kind of shot of that, similar to the last one. This overhang will be kept so that you can see where the historic roof line was. Just another shot of this area that will have the addition. This is the basement stairs and basement entrance as they currently are, which the applicant is proposing to remove this cover and then extend the basement stairs and add a new door and egress window.
Is that different than what was originally? I thought they were moving it.
Yes, yeah.
They're also moving the stairs. That's what's proposed. Sorry for interrupting.
No, you're fine.
Okay.
So they're proposing to remove the cover and then move the stairs closer to Ann Street.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Yes, yeah. Sorry, I'm getting confused with the last one. Again, here's a closer shot of the front elevation, which will look much nicer without these vertical boards and without the non-historic siding. And then just a note that this is from the basement, and so this is what the historic siding will look like. And that is what the applicant will match. Will repair as much as possible, but will match if needed if some of the existing siding underneath the non-historic siding is not repairable. Fire escape, which will be rebuilt to be more structurally sound. Egress windows will be added here. We'll see them on the drawings. This is a shot of the back of the house where the rear addition will go. So again, front of the house as it exists, and then the proposed with the wood shutters, which will be hung around the windows and not installed directly into the facade, with the siding removed. Existing south elevation. And then you can see the addition on this south elevation, again, at the rear of the house, but this is a corner lot. The roof will be higher than this middle section, but it will be lower than the front section. And again, you can see the overhang. North side, here are the egress windows that are proposed. Here is the rebuilt stair in the same location, same material, same overall look, but will be more structurally sound. Again, installation of mini splits. These will be on the landings and not installed into the wall. And again, any new ventilation will go through the roof. And then we have a few new skylights. West elevation as it exists now with this basement stair and then the basement cover. And then as you can see, there's a new egress window that is proposed to be installed, and then the stair moved closer to Ann Street. The cover will be removed, but this railing will extend up above grade. The door will be below grade. Here is again the new addition, again overhang. Basement floor plan. You can see this new entrance here. First floor, second floor. This is a photo, 1969 photo, so the non-historic siding was added pre-1969, not sure exactly when, and then the vertical boards, as you can see, were added after. Here are some of the applicant photos. Hardy plank is proposed to be the siding on the new addition, not on the rest of the house where the non-historic siding will be removed and then repaired and replaced as necessary. The shutters, then we've been through the standards and a lot of the guidelines are similar to the last one. So again, lots of things going on. Again, a note that this is a corner lot, but overall, staff finds it's kind of similar findings to the last one, that staff appreciates the remediation efforts, particularly of removing the non-historic siding and then adding the shutters rather than the vertical boards that are there now. Overall, staff finds that the application is appropriate except for the egress windows, again, the ones nearest North State Street, and the moving of the basement entrance closer to Ann Street so that it will be more visible. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the staff report. It's much appreciated. Okay, so we'll go to the review committee report. Commissioner Kaplan.
I'm trying to think about what we mostly talked about. We spent most of our time talking about the nature of adding the story to the back and turning the middle part almost, it starts to look like a hyphen, like something you would use when you're doing an addition and separating it from the house. But in this case, it's not an addition, it's existing and historically appropriate. And I didn't quite know what to think of that.
Fair enough. Okay. Let's move now to applicant comments. So would the applicant please approach the podium, provide your name and address for the record, and you've got 5 minutes to speak, but please comment on what you've heard so far.
Okay, my name is Yi Shen, and my address is 4051 Blackwater Drive in Okemos, Michigan. So my comment is, thanks for Julio's suggestion. We will remove the artificial siding and reveal the historic siding. And from my point of view, we added the addition and change the shutter in the front of the house and match because now I see it's a little not balanced. So add a second addition, I think it can make it more like a normal building. And with the historic siding and the shutter, I think we can make this building more beautiful. Yeah. Thank you. And about the north side of the egress, it's matched to the 207. So I think it's kind of same. Yeah, we can like to match these two buildings is kind of good. Yeah.
The staff report mentions that, staff does not think it's appropriate to be moving that basement egress stairwell towards
yeah.
Ann Street. Do you have a comment there?
Yeah, I forgot about this. So I moved because they say it shouldn't to move the non-historical element closer to the street. So that's why I removed the cover to make it not noticeable. And I also put a picture for illustrate the future looks like. So actually it can help to, if we remove that, you can see the building better. Yeah. And it's below grade, so you won't notice that.
Okay.
The new entrance won't be noticeable from the street. Yeah.
Well,
and
you'll see it from when you're standing.
Yeah, if you stand in front of it, yes.
Okay. All right. Hold on a second. Okay, so okay, let's just focus on this right now then. So this stairway, I think that the issue with it is that the beginning of the stairway is starting closer to the street than the front facade of the house. So this is a corner house, so it really has two front facades. It has the front on State and the front on Ann. Those are both front facades, and so we don't want anything new to be in front of a front facade, a historic front facade especially. So so the question is, can that? It looks like, yeah, from the floor plan that you have the egress window, which is nice, but it looks like if you shift that door to where that egress window would be, the basement floor plan is exactly the same. So what you're asking for here with this proposal is to do something that is against the standards. So it's hard for us to say yes if you can easily move it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
So can we switch around, so make it, just reverse it to make the entrance from the back of the house, from the north side of the house?
Let's look at the floor plan. Right, so there'd be an egress window next to the kitchen, and then the stairway.
So the egress window is the original opening door of the basement right now.
Right.
So I just think when you walk into the unit, you will cross the whole living room. This way makes me feel more natural. So
Entering into the kitchen feels more natural. I'm sorry.
I don't, but we have a whole complete living room. We can put a sofa and have a TV stand. It's more complete.
Yep.
If we have a door there, we can not have a sofa and a couch area. So I'm fine with if you want me to keep the original one. It's also okay. But for me, I just rather spend more money to have a better layout. But I can also keep the original one actually. But just think it's better to, if it's me living in the basement,
right,
it looks better for me.
I know we do these sort of compromises all the time where it's like, because of the standards, we actually have to do something that isn't the ideal.
And just think, looking at the elevation, and I just think, can we switch around to make an entrance from the north side of the...
What if both the egress window and the doorway were part of sort of a larger window well, and the stairs went the opposite direction? So they weren't right at Ann Street, but they were from the back. But you wouldn't necessarily be entering. You wouldn't be using that doorway, but you could still get the same doorway as it is. It's just now it's the stairs that move.
Yeah.
But do we want a larger? That means a bigger.
That would be the trade-off.
Yeah.
And you can certainly put a shrub there to cover it.
Right, it reduces the
Hand
visibility
speed.
from the street, it makes it larger, but
I don't know, for my 2 cents.
Yeah, what are your
I
2
think that
cents?
I think that would be preferable.
What, describe it again?
So Steve, tell me if I'm understanding what you're saying.
Can we look at a floor plan, maybe? Yeah.
So, and maybe this door can even move a little bit, but having the stairs go that way and this all just be part of the stairway. But I don't know if that's gonna work with the clearance you would need for an egress window. But it doesn't need to necessarily be an egress window because there's a door.
We don't need, yeah, okay. Yeah, I think that my vote would be to just move everything up the drawing
Yeah.
such that the front
like
of the
this.
stair
Goes
is,
to, go back to the.
yeah, but why, the front of the stair there looks like it's, how come
To
it's
take-
sticking out there?
To take this and bring
Yeah,
it back
yes,
to here.
yeah.
But
And then so
I
move
propose
this-
another way, you walk down the stair from the
You want to
west.
mirror it instead?
yes,
Okay,
yes,
that's better
mirror.
for you. Okay, so the applicant is asking us to mirror it, so then will this riser here be like over here somewhere?
Mm-hmm.
The same distance, right? Like, so it's this, it's gonna be over here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, which we have a thing there anyway. Okay, that's what is being proposed. And it's clearly better than what's there, because what's there's something in front of the front facade. Now, we can we'll discuss what you've just proposed. That also makes it kind of easy, because we can visualize it.
Yeah.
Okay, before you go, okay, any other comments on this? Well, okay, for the applicant, on this part right here, okay. Because I just want to make sure, can we go to the south elevation? Yeah, so I think this is just a drawing thing, but I just want to make sure. This little bit right here, this is the existing roof overhang. And this facade is in from that. And I think that this roof is going to extend a bit out, right? There's an existing overhang right here. You're not just chopping that off, right? That you're going to keep that. It's not drawn, but I just want to make sure that it's going to be there. There's another part of a drawing where you did draw something exactly like that. If you skip through the elevations. Go back. Not in that one. Something like this, right? So see how that roof comes over?
Okay,
So now go back to the south new.
okay.
Right, so that's gonna be there. That made a big difference for me in my head looking at it, because it just looked like smushed in between, but it's not smushed. This is actually back.
Right.
It would be a dominant
And
piece.
that's gonna,
Right.
the overhang is gonna envelop
Right.
that's right.
this second story here.
Yes.
a
Yeah.
little bit.
It makes it
Up to
much
there.
more palatable.
Yes,
and compatible.
yeah, because when I first saw it,
Yeah.
I was like, that doesn't look right.
Yeah.
It looks like it's not subordinate.
Suppressed
Right?
right now.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay, so that's good. And that was my other question, I think. Does anyone have any other questions for the applicant? I don't see any. So take a seat. We might call you back up, but thank you for answering those, Yashan. Okay. So now we go to the public hearing. And let's open the public hearing for this application. It's 203 North State Street. I don't see anyone here. Do we have anyone raising star 9, hitting star 9?
There are no hands raised at this time.
Thank you very
I
much.
think we'll have a party if anybody's ever on there.
Well, it's feast or famine, like
Yeah.
it's either no one or we have 20 people
Right.
on the line, so, yeah. Okay, the public hearing portion of the application is now closed, and I will ask if anyone would like to make a motion.
can go for it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I move that commission issues a certificate of appropriateness for the application of 203 North State Street, contributing property in the Old Fourth Ward Historic District, to add 180 square foot second floor rear addition, remove the non-historic siding and repair the historic siding, remove a faux shutter at the front elevation and replace them with wood shutters, rebuild the egress stairs in the north elevation, install mini splits at the rear of the house, and install 3 new egress windows on the basement of the north elevation, with exception of the one closest to North State Street on the drawings. As proposed, the work is compatible in exterior design, arrangement, texture, material, and relationship to the rest of the building and the surrounding area, and meets the Secretary of Interior standards for rehabilitation and the guidelines for rehabilitating historic buildings, in particular standards 2, 9, and 10, and the guidelines for building site addition, roofs, wood, windows, mechanical systems, and health and safety, as well as the Ann Arbor Historic District design guidelines for all additional residential additions, roof, wood, windows, and mechanical equipment.
Second.
Great. Okay, so that was proposed by Commissioner Calderon, seconded by Commissioner Smith. And this was for everything except for the new basement door, stair, half-wall handrail. So that, what we were just talking about, and that basement window on that back elevation, and the egress window nearest to State Street on the north elevation. So basically everything except for what we were just talking about, mirroring. And so I was also a little surprised to hear that that staff was saying that the second story addition was appropriate, and I just wonder if staff can comment on, Mariana, were you involved in those discussions, or do you know, because I would just say typically when we see a rear elevation, when it's a gable situation like this, the rear gable, the addition is lower, or at least the same height as the adjacent gable. Now, there's the other front gable, it's lower than that. Is that what's going on here, or can you just shed some light on the appropriateness of the second story addition?
Sure. Yes. Well, I mean, this is one that staff feels is appropriate as much as possible. It is a difficult one because it's a corner lot. We worked with Tina on multiple iterations of this, and this is the one that we felt was most appropriate. It is lower than the front, than the primary gable. It is, you're right, it is higher than this middle one, and this house is a unique kind of mishmash of different sections, even though that is how it's always been. So yes, I don't think it's a clear-cut support, and that is something for the commission to decide ultimately if this is an appropriate addition for a corner lot, even though it is a rear, and a lot of these questions would maybe be different if it wasn't a corner lot. But yes, I'll say that staff finds it appropriate as much as possible.
Thank you very much. Anyone want to comment on the addition? I mean, you made a comment. That was the first thing you felt,
And initially
right?
hit
Yeah.
me, not so much that it didn't, imagining what it was going to be look like built didn't strike me as oh my God, this is going to be an eyesore. So much as it just the same thing that hit you, sort of this is, I don't know how to fit this into the logic that we've normally applied to houses. But what I would say is when you're looking at this house on site, I think what's important is that sense of sequence, of articulation, and the fact that the third section along Ann Street is it's still differentiating from the section preceding it. The fact that it differentiates itself as being higher versus lower, I don't know that seriously degrades the feeling of the house when you're looking at it from Ann Street.
Fair enough. I think that Yeah, so is it differentiated? Yes, because it's the roof line is going to be there, like the original first-story roof line, and then it's going to be hardy versus whatever is underneath, probably cedar clapboard or something. Will it look like an addition? I mean, because what you described, I don't know. Will it look like an addition, do you think? Well, the answer's got to be yes, obviously.
I think
Or else you'd say no, it's
that's
not
the hard
appropriate.
part,
Yeah.
is that even though this is original, the back part of that house all looks like additions, that were
Yeah,
added at a
that's-
different time. And, so like considering that context, I think, the height is an interesting question, is like you're going to have 3 different heights there.
Yeah.
And it, is it, it's just different. And, I don't know that I mean, maybe it degrades the historic character of it a little bit, but, I feel like it's such a small portion of what that house is.
Yeah, I guess, I think that you make a good comment there. Is it degrading it? I think it is, but we're also getting, we're getting the exposed original siding, which will probably have a much bigger effect.
Right.
Then, when you look at it from a certain angle, you're going to be curious, I think, but then the siding, I think, will have a big effect from State Street and from the corner. I think it's just not how they would have historically built
Yeah,
it, where you
right.
have the big main house, then you have the smaller addition, then you would have something smaller like is
Right.
here, and now we're going to have big, small, medium.
I think, Dave, in my mind, is that the width of that is so subordinate to the other 2 pieces that, probably something that I'm more comfortable with, at least intellectually, thinking about it as being subordinate to the rest of the original structure.
Yeah, and I think that it's just a little, I agree, and that it's bumped in a little bit too, I
Yeah.
think is really saving me here, because if it wasn't.
If it wasn't,
it
it'd
would
be-
it's gonna be awkward, I think, because it's narrow. It's like
Yeah.
this narrow, tall, like that's not really what you would see normally, but maybe that will just make it read like an addition
Yeah.
even more.
Could we see the elevation again? Thank you.
All right. Which elevation?
The one we just had open before this.
Dave, I also think
Yeah.
that it could be,
Appreciate
like some of
and that
that
was it.
feeling could be tempered with some landscaping around that, around that corner.
If it is, that I don't think that we can make a call based on
Right.
landscaping,
Yeah,
unfortunately, yeah.
Would it feel better if it was pushed in like 6 inches to 1 foot on the left side? Just was brought in a bit more, so you had more of that roof condition?
I think so, but also that you would need a beam to support
Yeah,
that all
yeah.
the way across, and then two posts on either side of the beam, and
Yeah.
that would.
Just trying to play the
I've
other
seen
side.
that, and it adds a lot of money to
Mm-hmm.
the construction. I think it looks good when you do that, but it's probably wasn't proposed that way because of the the extra cost in structure. Okay, all right, so I guess we've discussed, it doesn't seem like someone's saying like, we can't do this for this reason, so, let me just check my notes real quick to make sure there isn't anything. Okay, all right, so, just making sure that we've discussed it all. So let's look at let's just look one time through all the elevations here. So I feel like we've discussed this one. Can we go? Okay, so, yeah, I think this is a huge improvement and meeting the standards quite well. Let's go to south. Okay, north new. Okay, so we've got on the table here on this motion all the egress windows except for the one on the far left there. Okay, a new skylight. All right. Okay, then I guess we just have the rear elevation left? Okay. All right, so in this, we're ignoring the basement. Okay,
Right.
so I think we've discussed everything that we need to discuss. All right, so let's go to a vote here on this motion. All those in favor of the motion, please say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, please say no. Okay, so that motion carries. That part of the application's been approved. Can we have the next motion, please?
Sure.
And you've heard what the applicant has sort of already proposed, so if you can, kind of as you're going, you could just read it, and then we'll critique it, or you can, in real time,
Sure.
make the change, yeah.
For the new basement door, stair, half wall, and handrail, and the basement egress window on the west elevation. So I move that the commission issues certificate of appropriateness for the application of 203 North State Street, contributing property in the Old Fourth Ward Historic District, to remove the basement covering, relocate the basement entrance and west elevation, including the door and stair, install new egress windows in the west elevation, and install an egress window in the north elevation, 6 feet and 3 inches from the front elevation. As proposed, the work is compatible in exterior design, arrangement, texture, material, and relationship to the rest of the building and the surrounding area, and meets the Secretary of Interior standards for rehabilitation and guidelines for rehabilitation of historic buildings, in particular standards 2, 9, and 10, and the guidelines for windows and entrances and porches, as well as the Ann Arbor Historic District guidelines for all windows and residential porches.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. That is a move by Commissioner Calderon, seconded by Commissioner Kaplan. All right, so let's, I suppose we want to have language that
yeah.
says that the window and the egress stair plus door will be mirrored from what's drawn?
Yes, the entrance will come from the north, the stairs will come from the north, not from the south.
Yeah. Do you want to?
Yeah, to remove the basement covering, relocate the basement entrance from, on the west side to come from the north to the south, including doors and stairs, install a new egress window on the, well, what do you say, at that part, probably, west elevation. Sorry, I forgot what's happening with the new egress window in that scenario.
Well, the whole, everything is getting mirrored.
So remove the basement covering and relocate the basement entrance and west elevation and the new egress window on the west side to be reversed from north to south.
Right, you said the egress window and the, okay. Mariana, did you get that enough?
Yeah.
I mean, just kind of.
Okay.
And I'm sorry to make this complicated. Looking at what happens if we do that, that window probably has to get smaller. If that doesn't move. But if it,
No, this, yeah, so this is also getting here, that's gonna be here.
No, I won't mirror that window, but I will move a little bit south, right, to the right.
oh, I see what you mean. So, yeah, what I was talking about was like, this doesn't
Yeah,
necessarily
because the
come over
stairs.
here, this will come over a little bit this way,
Oh.
just so that there's
Just the
clearance on the
stairs,
stairs.
So this section is getting mirrored,
Yes, and
and
then
then this
this,
is just moving a little bit.
Yes.
yeah.
Okay. And that'll all be within, so that'll all be within this well. You won't have another well.
No.
Yeah, it'll just be within there. Okay, well, that's better, because then that's one less well.
Yeah.
And it's further away I mean, it's what we wanted, which was within, the front facade there, beyond the front facade.
Yeah.
Okay, so Mariana, do you get that? And do we need to say it somehow?
I'm not sure we have the ability to say it.
At this point, it's 9:30 or so.
So to be clear,
Yeah.
the new person door will stay where it is as proposed. The stairs will mirror, and then the entrance will come from the north to the south. The new egress window will stay on the north side of the house, but may shift a few inches, or stay on the north side of
West.
the new,
West side of the house?
well, north side of the door, though.
Oh, I got it, yeah.
Yeah. So it'll be, yes, on the west side of the house, but still north of the door,
Yeah.
not closer to Anne. Does that all sound correct?
It does. Sort of.
Okay, door stays where it is, yeah. Stairs flip.
Yep.
The egress window, the new one, stays on the same side of the door, but may shift slightly for the stairs clearance.
There you go.
Got it.
Okay.
Perfect.
Cool.
That was really good.
Thank God there's a smart one.
Right? Thank you, Mariana. Okay. So I heard nothing but positive regarding that. So, great. Now, there's the egress window that's, let's just look at it. I mean, we had this, I don't want to spend too much time because we had this discussion. We just had this discussion. I have a feeling it's going to be very similar.
The other one.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Does anyone have any comments on this? Because we've discussed, but I just want to make sure it looks good. Okay. All right. Mariana, are we good? Okay. All right. Okay. All those in favor of this motion, please say yes.
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 All those opposed, please say no. This motion also carries. Your application as amended has been approved.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you. Take care of you, Sean.
Okay.
Okay. We do have one more hearing this evening. It's F4, 549 South First Street. Whenever you're available, Mariana, please.
All right, so we are at 549 South First Street. This home first appears in city directories in 1896 as the home of contractor Henry Koch and his wife Mary. Henry and Mary's son Harold was a founding member of the Old West Side Association. The house is a two-story gable fronter with corner returns, a brick chimney, a second-floor triple window facing the street, a stone front porch with wing walls and round tapered half columns, a front window with a leaded glass transom, and a cut stone and natural stone foundation. On the 1931 and 1948 Sanborn Fire Insurance maps, the rear wing of the house is a single story with a small covered porch infilling the northeast corner. At some point, the one-story wing received a second-floor addition with a hipped roof. The site is located on the east side of South First Street, north of West Madison, and south of West Jefferson. The applicant seeks HDC approval to remove the wood siding and trim, re-insulate and install sheathing, and then reinstall all salvageable exterior wood, plus matching new siding and trim as necessary. The applicant also proposes to remove and rebuild the deteriorated porch on the front of the house. Non-original materials would be removed and replaced with wood, and original wood features that are beyond repair will be replaced with matching materials in matching dimensions. Please note that this application does not include the stone foundation and cobblestone porch walls because they were approved to be rebuilt at the November 9th, 2023 HDC meeting. So that means that we are just talking about the upper portions of the porch, so the posts and the roof, and then all of the siding. So just a few shots of the elevation. some of the historic siding is in good condition, some of the siding requires repair, and then some of it has already been replaced with non-historic materials. The applicant has calculated that of the existing siding and trim, 54% is non-historic or already approved for replacement. Again, just some shots of the exterior. And then some close-ups of the porch. Again, the posts are deteriorating. They are proposed to be replaced in kind. Same thing with this handrail here. And then the roof of the porch will be removed and then replaced with a roofing membrane. And then any of the non-historic trim around the roof line will be replaced with boral siding or with boral trim. Some more shots of the porch. And then this is from the application, just showing the locations where the siding is either has already been replaced or is in need of repair or is in good condition. Similar for the rest of the elevations. Some details for the porch. The decking is proposed to be salvaged or replaced in kind. An older shot of the house before the non-historic siding was removed. And then some in progress. These are from the applicant. This is the structure beneath the porch, which is in need of reconstruction. More applicant photos. Again, the cobblestone and then the stone parts of the porch have already been approved for replacement or for reconstruction. We've already walked through these standards. A couple for entrances and porches we've already talked about. I will just read through the wood. It is recommended to identify, retain, and preserve wood features that are important in defining the overall historic character of the building, such as siding. It is not recommended to remove or radically change wood features which are important in defining the overall historic character of the building. It is recommended to repair wood features by patching, piecing in, and consolidating, or otherwise reinforcing the wood. What I didn't mention before is that when the existing wood siding, the historic siding that is in good condition, it'll be removed and then replaced and then put back on, starting with the front elevation and then moving to the side elevations and then to the rear elevation, so that the most visible parts of the house are receiving the historic siding. Some more that we've already talked about, and the Ann Arbor design guidelines are similar to the Secretary of State, Secretary of Interior standards for wood, so I will leave those out. And I believe that that's all from me. Staff does support and find the application appropriate.
Great, thank you very much for the staff report. Let's get the review committee report.
So this is the first house I saw on a tour in November, so looking at the work in progress was great. The work with the stones is wonderful. They're doing a lot of work on the inside. One question that came up when we were discussing this on site, and it looks like we do have an architect here, is that correct? So the question that I had for you, it's visible to see where the rot is on the front porch columns and the stuff that they want to replace there makes perfect sense. You can see why they're doing what they're doing. With the replacement of the siding, the current state of the house on the interior is it's completely raw stud walls. And so for the purposes of insulation, I'm wondering why you wouldn't spray something like closed cell polystyrene to the back of the existing siding as is, as opposed to pulling it all off and insulating from, or creating your vapor barrier from the outside. That seems like more work.
And we will get that answered in just a moment. Is that the whole report?
Well, the only other point that I think is relevant there, so let's say there's an assessment right now of the existing siding on the house that is already rotten and needs to be replaced. And then there's the siding that's really, really good. And then there's
Yeah. What did you see on site? Did you see
a mixed bag of all of that.
Yeah,
But
okay.
some that will turn from good serviceable siding into unusable siding in the extraction.
Sure.
Some of it's not going to make the process.
Yeah. Very good. Okay. Thank you for the report. And now we will ask the applicant, please come forward, state your name and address for the record. You have up to 5 minutes to speak. You heard some comments and the staff report, so please let us know what you have for us.
Sure.
Thanks.
Yeah, hello, good to see you all again.
Yes.
My name is Casey Vliet. I'm with In Parallel Architects and Builders. I am the principal architect on this project and also the project manager for the construction, so I'm quite familiar with the progress. I'm there almost every single day of the week. So yeah, I'm happy to report we've made a lot of good progress, and I feel like we're delivering on the promises that we made to the committee in the fall. And I believe we can continue to deliver on what we're asking of the committee here. I think big picture, and I want to address your question as well, but in a big picture, our approach here with the siding is to extend the life of this historic building as much as we can, and to really protect the investment that the owner has made in restoring this house and modernizing the interior. And so our ask is simply to remove as was said earlier, roughly 50% of the siding that is not otherwise already approved for removal, non-historic, or beyond repair. So we figure there's already 50% of it which is, could be removed, I would say without approval, because it's either non-historic or it's just rotten or it's already been approved. So we're asking to remove the remaining 50% simply to put up a vapor barrier. So it's really a correction. I'm not sure how it was communicated that the reason we're doing this is to insulate. That's not what we're asking, nor is it true. We can already insulate from the inside. But the vapor barrier, I guess in our understanding, is best performing when it's outboard of the sheathing, outboard of the substrate and behind the siding.
Is there sheathing?
Well, there's three-quarter. There's sheathing on some of the non-historic portions of the building, and then there's 3/4 inch 1x8 boards.
Sheathing boards.
Yeah. But effectively, a substrate, let's call it. So, our intention is to put the vapor barrier between the siding and the substrate, which is where it's most commonly placed. And so, yes, we definitely looked into the idea of spray foaming the interior first and then blowing in cellulose or some other blown in material, but we're leery of that, and because as I said, we really want the vapor barrier to be outboard of the sheathing or the substrate. We don't want to trap that, between the spray foam and the siding. We'd rather have that be outboard. So, it's taken us a while to get to where we're convinced this is the right ask. As you know, we're now many months into the project, and I guess our feeling is given, we're already halfway to having this siding off, with careful removal of the existing siding. We would be able to salvage enough of it to where we could appropriately put it back onto the building, as was mentioned, starting with the elevation that's on the screen now, which would be the most visible, then moving to the south, which is the second most visible, and then to the north, and then to the east, the least visible. So, all I can say is we would do our absolute best to remove it without destroying it, to salvaging it, carefully storing it, putting on the vapor barrier, and putting it back up. And for the amount of siding that would need to be replaced with new, we would match the existing siding with new wood siding that gets painted. So we're not asking to change the material in any way, just asking to match it. So that's the siding piece. I'm happy to speak about the porch as well. I'm not sure if you'd like to discuss them separately, or if I should just go through the whole
just go through
application.
it, yeah.
Okay. So the porch, as was mentioned, we're really asking to replace the columns, which are rotten. I really do think that would have to be a replace. I did happen to notice this morning that the tops of these columns are actually foam. So I'm not sure these are the original. Yeah, actually you can see in this picture in the top right, there's a hole that was bored through the top of that column. The actual, the main body of the column is indeed wood, but the tops are foam. So I'm not sure these are the original columns to begin with. But as our application states, our intent would be to match them. But that might, we might want to look into that a little bit more in terms of what the original columns were versus what these are. But in any case, our intent would be to match them. Everything above the columns has been wrapped in either aluminum or vinyl. I anticipate the original materials are probably there. I would be surprised if they're not already rotten. When we tore off the aluminum around the fascia boards and the soffit, the material was rotten, and it was not able to be salvaged. So my expectation is that that's what we'll find, but if we are able to salvage the material, if it's not already rotten, we would salvage it. Otherwise, we're proposing to install, let me just make sure I get the material right here. Yes, we're proposing to install Boral fascia boards, which would match the already approved new window trim on some of the non-historic windows on the rear, and which would match the requested replacement of the existing window trim in our application today, which is, I should mention, is also wrapped in aluminum. So there's wood window trim, which we believe was the original trim underneath underneath a aluminum wrap. Again, we would salvage what we can and replace what cannot be salvaged, would be our approach. And then lastly is the roofing material on top of the roof. There was a picture is a metal, and our proposal is to replace that with a membrane roof. One of our photos showed the kind of panelized metal roof atop the porch. Yeah, there's one. Yeah, I believe that's a general summary. Let me just look here if I have anything else to add. Yeah, thank you.
Question, thank you, Casey.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Question for you regarding the removal of the reason for the removal of the siding being the vapor barrier. And I understand that, but I think of equal concern would be an air barrier. And I'm just wondering, is that something that because I feel like the foam gives you a vapor barrier and an air barrier, not in the right place, like you're saying. Now, when you're removing the siding, are you thinking air barrier or just vapor barrier?
Can you explain a little more what you mean by air?
Oh, just like
barrier?
something that's something that's preventing the
Like
actual
a-
air being, going in and either infiltration, exfiltration through the envelope.
Yeah,
If
sure.
I want to get too technical, but just, air going in and out of the wall.
Sure. Yeah, so we have definitely considered an open cell spray foam on the inside of the walls.
Okay.
Which is vapor permeable. Closed cell spray foam is not, and so we tend to, as a practice, not specify that on walls.
Okay.
Admittedly, we've had an issue finding an insulator who will do the open cell foam. Seems like many of the insulators are moving just to closed cell foam. So that has in part dissuaded us from that approach. I'm not saying we're decidedly not doing it or doing it yet. I'd say we're still looking into whether we'll use the open cell foam. Originally, that was our plan, to use open cell foam. And at the time, we didn't think that removing the siding would be an option. And so, as I said, as we've learned more about the building, we now know how much of the siding was either not historic to begin with, as well as just rotten and not salvageable. So that's kind of what's led us here. Again, I still feel even if we were to do the open cell foam, we would still want a vapor barrier outside of the substrate. And so I think our ask would still be the same whether or not we do, one or the other. And then last point is, we've actually found that the 3/4 inch siding is butted together, or substrate is butted together very well. We were expecting to find gaps and, actually, so in terms of air, getting through that, I think it's a lot less than we initially anticipated it would be.
Okay. Are there other questions for Casey? Okay, why don't you take a seat? We might call you back up, but for now, we're going to do the public hearing. So let's open the public hearing for 549 South First Street. No one approaching the podium because it's only Casey left in here. So that's clear. And then I assume we don't have anyone on the phone?
There is no one online.
Thank you, Julia. Okay, so the public hearing portion of this application is now closed. Would any commissioner like to make a motion?
Sure.
Okay.
I move that the commission issue a certificate of appropriateness for the application at 549 South First Street, a contributing property in the Old West Side Historic District, to remove and rebuild the front porch and roof and to remove and replace deteriorated siding as proposed. The work is compatible in exterior design, arrangement, and material to the building and the surrounding area and meets the Secretary. Oops, I lost my place. No.
There you go. Secretary of the...
Interior standards for rehabilitation and the guidelines for rehabilitating historic buildings, in particular, standards 2, 5, and 9, and the guidelines for entrances and porches, wood, building site, and roofs, as well as the Ann Arbor Historic District guidelines for residential porches and wood siding trim and architectural details.
Second.
Okay. That was moved by Commissioner Kaplan and seconded by Commissioner Smith. Okay, so we basically have two things going on. We've got the porch and we've got the siding. So I'm so excited to see this porch rebuilt. I think it's great. Are there comments on that?
I'm just glad we saved the easiest one for last,
Wait, I don't get it. This is the easiest one,
Yeah,
right?
I'm glad we did.
You are, that sounded so sarcastic, but you were sincere. Okay, good. Okay.
Because I couldn't handle anything
Right.
complex as the
Okay,
last
so
two.
you're feeling good about the porch at least.
Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely,
good.
nothing to add.
All right, so then, question for you, the roof of the porch, is it, were you buying like, oh, you can't really see it? Did you happen to notice it? But the roof, they're changing materials.
On the top?
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't think it's a factor.
right.
Yeah.
It's a very, very shallow
That's right.
pitch, right? Okay, very good. Just wanted to make sure. Sounds all good on the porch then, so let's discuss the siding. I think it's a tricky one, but does anyone have any comments? I think that we've approved siding removal before. I think it's basically when it's this sort of situation. Usually, I would say it's like the siding is just all deteriorated and we have to remove it. This is, well, half of it is deteriorated with a promise from the project manager of the project saying, we're going to very carefully remove the rest and we've got a plan for it.
I feel
But it's not
very
ideal, but-
comfortable, like they're doing complicated things on this house
Yeah.
that involve, salvaging material, so I'm very comfortable with what they've proposed.
Yeah, I am as well. And there is a substantive difference between, there is a vapor barrier capacity of closed cell foam, but it only goes joist to joist.
Right.
Stud to stud.
Stud to stud, yeah.
Stud to stud. So you don't, and you're not protecting in any way so getting, as they put it, outboard makes a lot of sense. I'm assuming it's going to be some sort of like a Tyvek house wrap type thing. Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Right. To protect the sheathing, which is important to protect, you need it outboard. Now, that being said, no house on the Old West Side has Tyvek, on the outside of their sheathing, but this is a particular case. This is the owner, making a proposal for this, so I think that to me, it's hard to say that that the vapor barrier is the reason for doing this, as opposed to just the siding's deteriorated, we want to replace it.
Right.
Because it doesn't really matter either way. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Let's move to a vote. All those in favor of the motion, please say yes.
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 All those opposed, please say no. The motion carries. Your application's been approved. Thanks, Casey. Okay. Well, let's move on. We're done with the hearings, guys. Okay, this feels, I don't know, with just 4 commissioners, it's like just a small little gathering. I don't know, it feels more informal or something. I want to just mention that. Okay, there's no new business. So let's move on to that. From approval of the minutes, we're going to approve the June minutes unless anyone has any corrections to bring up. Okay, so without objection, the minutes are approved as presented. Are there any reports from commissioners? Would any commissioner like to share something with the commission? No. Okay, we've moved on to assignments. Take out your schedulers, August 5th, that's a Monday, at 5 PM. Commissioner Kaplan's had a string of,
Either for.
yeah, you're just going all week,
site visit or
okay.
the regular meeting.
Same here.
Okay, we've got 2 out, Mariana. Okay.
I will be there. I have no
Commissioner
issues.
Calderon, you'll be at the
Yeah, I will
meeting?
be there, yeah.
Okay. Are you willing to be on the review committee?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, great. Thank you
For
for
the
that.
Yeah.
We'll have to ask, maybe one of the people that weren't here today would be willing to do it out of guilt.
That's funny.
And if not, I could probably do it. Okay. Mariana, good?
All good, yep.
Okay. Well, thank you, Commissioner Calderon, much appreciated. Is there a report from staff this month?
Nothing, just that we hope Jill's having a great vacation.
Yes, Jill, we hope you're having a wonderful vacation. A well-earned one, I'll say that. Okay, do we have any communications? Wait a second. Are there concerns of any commissioners? This is where you would voice your concerns.
Yeah, I still haven't heard back from Cobblestone Farms. Oh, I still have not heard back from Cobblestone Farms.
Okay, that's a bit unusual. I guess that's something, is that,
I can reach out personally too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will do that.
okay.
I got in contact with the first person who was going to have someone else reach out to me about more information.
So that
And
you
that
can
never
attend the
happened.
meetings?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, just reach out yourself
Yeah.
and see what they say. I wonder if they're having meetings.
Mhm.
Maybe they're just not having meetings. But if they are, that'd be great if you could contact them. Okay, any other concerns? Yeah. No? Okay. Me neither. Are there communications, Mariana, communications to the HDC?
Nope.
Okay, very good. In that case, I now adjourn the July 11th, 2024 HDC meeting. What time is it? 9:51 PM.